Cancel out of there. Thanks, Crane. Let's go to SM work orders one more time. Actually, we might have up here, but you're going to watch it again. System doesn't care. Let's pull this down just a hair at the bottom. Now, here's another thing. We haven't defined what's called a scope. So if you click into the scope right there, hit F5, please. Okay. This is a table that I can set up that's called SM work scopes. And this can further define what the scope of work is. Where this is handy is when somebody has to issue a work order. Right now we have a call type that's just a really quick little blurb. This work scope, if I set up a standard list of work scopes, when I'm setting up this thing, maybe it can put some text on this work scope and define what it is. And then somebody can type in a little more to further explain what the scope of work is. And we understand that everything is kind of unique.
This is like template scopes, basically.
Yeah, template scopes. And then you can kind of grab them and you can make it a quick, and if you typed in a big paragraph of information, then you could go in and step 2 and just do a little tidy up. So think of it as a work scope pick list that I'm grabbing off a list. Otherwise, your dispatch person every time would have to go.
Yeah, so you can say test backflow, but down below it says access, get the paperwork, test the backflow. You can have more scope in there that shows.
Yeah, right? Just think of it as kind of a little cheat sheet for saving somebody some typing. If I set it up once, then I'm just grabbing it and throwing it onto this work order. And then I can kind of type a little bit or qualify that a little bit more, but I'm not starting from like a blank work scope and typing everything. You got something like that in Maxwell? That's
No,
like
currently we type in everything.
Something.
So this is a good one, actually. So
once again, this is about a 60 character max, but in the details, you could type in a nice little paragraph, or something like that.
So, but it would be every time.
Now hit F4, there's a priority, and this just changed things colors. Let's set it to high, but like I said, some things could be super high priority, medium. It changes the color on the dispatch board. But now here's where you could really type in a lot or copy and paste
And
something.
this would be part of the pick list as well.
Yes, because you're picking this, but this would be reportable on this work order, and then you could kind of...
And that description is going to be sent to the device, or he's got to have that detailed, right?
That's correct. And so you'd be like, gotcha. So, and since everyone's unique, at least you got something to start with.
That's just a single thing. Yeah,
Just a
but
little something.
What's default?
This is, if it was there's internal customer work orders that are billed directly to the customers. Then there's, when we're working for the construction company doing startup or certain things, we would put a default phase. So if that work scope was startup, like you were saying, and there was a phase over in job cost was called startup, I'd be linking this work scope to a construction phase.
Get a look up there, see what's in there.
This is job cost, and these are all the different phases in the job cost world. So
they might give you that, when they say they're sending you something. Can construction, just curious, can construction create a work order?
no, not without permissions, service management permissions.
Right now, we get what's called a manpower request. It says, hey, we need a back flow on this project right here. And it says the task code. We drop into here and we put their task code that they requested because it would be on that job, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yep. So go ahead and hit save right there. Once you save that work scope.
Oh, that wasn't a mandatory field phase.
Can't slide here. So in the work order scope, notice she could hit enter and not put anything there. Enter. And now she could type in anything she wanted down here, but she'd be typing from scratch. Go up to the scope, hit F4, grab your nice little test backflow work scope. And now she could go to the end after purveyor and then put a little ditty about specific to that call, but at least she'd be starting at something,
But we don't have to do that scope, pick list stuff.
No, it's optional. It is not a required field. I was just wondering if you had something similar and it would be of value to you to be able to get an additional scope detail, because really that's what you're doing.
Let me ask a question. So there are field quotes in here, right? There's a quote system in here, right?
Yeah.
And there's templates that are made in that quote system too, right?
No, they use the same scope thing.
That's what I'm saying. Ron's gonna be doing field quotes, and it might say a leak check, it might say a compressor change, it might take any of that. The stuff that he has in here might be templates that you have to create work orders, in field quotes.
Yeah.
And then when she could enter that, hey, the customer calls us and wants to test backflow, it's the same thing as if you had to do a quote on that. But
And the quote does flow to the work order. So if they use those scopes on the quote just pops over and creates a work order once that quote is approved. So that scope on the quote becomes.
But it's
the
one
scope
table.
on
These
the-
scopes are the same in
They're
the
shared.
quote thing
Yeah,
versus this.
they're exactly. That's
So
exactly correct.
where do we go to set up the scope, pick list stuff?
We need to do scope.
SM scopes. So in Vista, in the main menu, SM work scopes. And so in the grid view, you could maximize this out. Of course, there's restrictions. You've got kind of, once again, probably 20 to hit in there, F3. So F3, I think this is 20, the property, I can help you there. 20 text is the code, cancel out here. Then this is 60, and then this can be huge. So that's kind of what we did before.
But this, okay, right, I'm with you, yeah.
So code 20, 60 description, and then if you really want
But
to.
when you're doing your field quote, are you pulling in details from the details into your quote?
Yes.
Okay, so that's
Yeah,
where it is.
basically the quote is the basis for that.
It's like a template. So over here, you might go, recover refrigerant, test this, pressure test that, it becomes your scope in your field quote.
Yeah.
Okay, and then now that comes over and tells the technician, here's your scope. Okay.
So that's kind of this whole work scope table. Right click once again, just because we're in another grid, filter bar. It's on in here now. And the next time you log in, you're like, turn my filter bar in over here. So it just.
Can you add on the fly? So when our guy is building field quotes, can he can build on the fly a work scope and then use it?
So are you talking to your technicians?
No.
Your dispatch
It's like an
people?
inside salesperson that's doing field quotes.
If you trust them and we can give them security permissions, you know how she went into this table? If we give them security permissions to read write to the SM work scope table, then yes, you can kind of control that. If you say, nope, I only want her and him to set it up, then it's a security permission situation. We can have them read it and pull from it, but not create new ones. If you say, hey, I trust them, they're good, they're going to do it right, then we can unleash them with read-write capabilities to do whatever we want to this
Technician
table.
could technically do some defined simple scope quotes too then, right?
From the field?
Yeah.
Normally, they don't write to this table, no. They just,
No, but if we had these created, and he wanted to build a quote in the field, he could go build a quote that is repair the backflow device and have, backflow repair, and he could pick that and do a quote with that.
from the field?
Yep. Can you create work quote?
I don't know what this, usually not from a tablet. Usually you're not quoting from a tablet. You're applying time and doing that sort of thing from the tablet, but normally you're not doing quotes from the tablet. You're just putting time and materials and equipment or something or miscellaneous standard items.
And I know we'll get to it, but when we get to field quotes, if you don't have scope templates, he can just manually create whatever quote, correct?
Yeah, you can, remember, she could have just started typing in that thing, but she'd have just been typing from scratch.
Okay.
Yep. So this is that, and you said you had a pretty good one in your quote system in Maxwell that has what'd you call them, a quote template?
No. We have some standards that we use, copy and paste out of Word into
Those
them. Yeah.
templates, just copy and paste. This would be taking the place of your copy paste thing. You're like, I got one in there and I can just delete or once I grab it, I can modify it, and it saves you some time.
Yeah, so I remember we had compressor scope, we have a general scope, you can start there.
Yeah, at least you got a starting point. And it's reportable, so you can report on work scopes as well. Hit
Yeah,
this
but you don't need to because you've got, all of your stuff is identified by your call type.
So let's go profitability detail third from the top here. Because like I said, in a lot of these things, just imagine, this profitability detail report, which is standard report, I can run by customer.
Call type.
I can run it by specific work order. I can run it by call type. I can run it by scope. I can run it by technician. I can run it by an agreement, by service site, by service. I can kind of slice and dice this thing by all those things we've been talking about over the last day or so. I can leave a blank and get everything. So depending upon what I'm looking for in here. Okay. But that's kind of the way that little report works.
So I see work order profitability, you have it by customer too, just curious?
Customers at the top.
Oh, okay, it's the same title on the work profitability, but gotcha.
Yeah, then you'd say, give me all my work orders for that. And you could say, give me all my work orders for a specific date range, you know.
So you could say all my work orders for the month of February for this customer.
Yeah, bingo. So your filtering is just based on what you want to see.
Yep. What are the groups? What's group one, group two?
By agreement, by call type. So this is the sort order of how you want to group some things, how do I want to group them.
Okay.
By service site, by work order status, so they're just kind of alternate grouping functionality. Because you could group by this, then by that.
Okay, so I see we have to do some starting points from SM work scopes, I have that down.
Okay. That's just a little more, so that is optional, but I figured you want to take advantage of that. It's not a required thing, but it's nice to have to save people some typing and stuff. I'm copying and pasting right now.
Yep.
That's to keep you from having to do quite so much typing. Okay. Okay.
And which one is that called?
SM work scopes.
SM work. Am I on the wrong thing here? Oh, I am.
Oh, yeah.
I'm on the wrong
Bunch
thing,
of
sorry.
reports. Yeah.